To you by Trilogy Home Healthcare, the industry leader with over 30 years of experience in providing home healthcare services such as skilled nursing, physical and occupational therapy, home health aides, and other specialized care to your homes throughout the state. Please tune in every other week as we bring you a range of good information from specialists in the field to help make you more informed and living healthy.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Yolanda Santana, host of your Hometown Health Show. And tonight we are here to introduce our special guest, Eddie Flores from Hospice Care Consultant Seasons Hospice, as well as we have Jen Smith, Director of Marketing from Trilogy Home Healthcare. Welcome. Good evening. How are you both?
Good evening.
Oh, we can't hear you, Eddie.
Sorry about that. Good evening, and thank you for having me on the show.
Perfect. All right. Well, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. You know, typical Monday, but we're getting through this.
That's great. Well, welcome again, and we're so happy to have you. Could you please tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself and Seasons?
Absolutely. A little bit about myself. My name is Eddie Flores. I work in the Broward County market for Seasons Hospice. Seasons Hospice has been around since 1997, but we're relatively new in the Broward County area. We've been around since 2015. And, you know, we cater to a lot of patients that are in need for hospice care in the community.
Right. So the word hospice can be a little intimidating to some people. Could you explain to our listeners how that word isn't that scary?
It isn't, and you know, completely understand why you know, patients, and when they hear that word, they could, you know, take it with a complete defense mechanism. I mean, the way I look at the word hospice, I call it transitional care. When there's no more aggressive treatments that need to be done for your patients, we want to focus on comfort measures to keep your patient that has been diagnosed with needing hospice care comfortable, and manage them in a way to give them some type of prolonged, you know, some longevity. Also focus on providing, you know, respect and care to them at that time of need.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. If I can jump in for a moment. Eddie and I have known each other for quite a few years. Actually worked together in a few previous jobs. But, you know, patients will come on to home health care, actually, and really not be home health appropriate. They are seeking care that really is kind of like a last-ditch effort, so to speak, and they're really just holding on to anything. And a lot of times it's the patient really knows in the end that there really is nothing more that can be done for them, and the family is really holding on for, oh, well, one last treatment, or you know, let's try rehab, or let's try this. And sometimes it's that conversation that is very difficult to be had, and clinicians are very uncomfortable having that conversation. And people in hospice, just like Seasons, are very trained to have that conversation, that palliative more conversation, or that quality of life conversation. And that's why they're able to have those conversations. I know Eddie is becoming more comfortable having those conversations with patients and families now, whereas he wasn't as trained to have that conversation, and he's enjoying that now. So telling someone that, you know, for us with Trilogy, we work closely with Seasons, and telling someone that, you know, home health is not the right fit for you now is not an easy situation or an easy conversation to have, but our clinical staff, our nurses, are actually very good at having those conversations with our patients. For patients that are on service with us now, or patients that are in the hospital that have been referred to us, our Director of Clinical Services will usually come to me, and I will speak to her, having that hospice experience professionally, and I will tell her, look, this patient, really isn't home health appropriate. And for us, we have goals that we have to meet and have expectations from home health. And we'll tell them this patient is not appropriate, and we have to put it back in the hands of the case manager at the hospital or the physician or to the skilled nursing facility and say, this patient really does need that hospice care. So it's a very difficult conversation to have. It's a scary word, don't say the H word. But it is, it's about having that conversation, being comfortable having that conversation, which is why we rely so heavily on, Seasons and Eddie in particular to have that conversation with patients and families.
I can imagine. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just definitely it's a transition. It's transition when home health is no longer enough to help a family in need. We transition them on to hospice to keep on giving that quality of care and life that is needed.
Right. So Eddie, can you tell us? You mentioned you service Broward. Is it all of Broward or any other counties?
Seasons they're in 20 states. Just to paint a picture. We are in Dade and Broward County. So any patients that would maybe come to Broward County to get admitted to one of the local hospitals in South Broward, being the Memorial System, for an example, and they want to transition off, when they get home and discharged, luckily we could help them either in Dade or Broward County to give them some assistance with our services.
Great. And how about telling our listeners the different levels of different levels of care hospice provides?
Absolutely. Under the hospice benefit, there are 4 levels of care that a patient is eligible for. Starting with routine level of care, which is routine visits in the household to help manage that patient to avoid any type of readmissions to the hospital, any type of avoiding maybe down that 911. Give us a call first to see if we could help them and manage them. It's almost, I don't want to say it's having a hospital at home, but having a complete team at home, having a nurse, having an LPN constantly available, even a physician at some cases, depending of what is needed. Under that service, we provide any type of equipment that is needed to manage that patient at home, any type of additional supplies that are needed, for an example. And we try to manage that patient. And then when a patient is maybe not becoming a little bit unstable, and we got to move into what else is needed that we can provide from routine level, we can provide continuous care at home, which would be 24-hour care of a nurse, at 12-hour shifts, around the clock for 24 hours, 2 different nurses to help manage that patient at home to keep until we get them stabilized. If any exacerbations, anything towards that nature that we need to manage them, that we need to have care at home to provide them comfort. There's a nursing agency that's there to us as a nurse that's there to provide our services. And then from the 24-hour care that we could offer at home, the next thing that a patient can qualify for is our inpatient unit. Inpatient unit is to have, when we need to probably transition back to a hospital type environment, even though it doesn't feel like a hospital in our side of the fence, we can manage that patient with having a nurse on bedside with them 24 hours and having a physician that is on call at our facility, our inpatient unit, to manage the patient. And it also takes assistance from the family that's needed at the moment to manage, and the end of the day is to take care of that patient and provide as much quality and comfort as needed. And then finally, there's something that I like to share that a lot of people don't know that they could get under the hospice benefit, which is respite care. When a family is on, taking, a wife, a family member, a daughter, a son, taking care of their parents, for an example, or anybody that is under hospice care, we could provide as much as 5 days of respite care, it's called, that we could give a maximum of 5 days to take them to either to our unit for a maximum of 5 days to give a break for that family that's needed. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just the patient that needs our help; it's the family that's all obviously continuously caring for their family member. And that's something that it's a benefit that in general, the hospice benefit, it's a benefit that's underutilized, and it's something that families that people just don't know that they could get at that time of need.
Absolutely. It's very taxing on the families. And to get that break that's covered by Medicare, oof, absolutely.
I can imagine, for sure. So according to your website, it looks like you have a few unique services like Namaste Care, music therapy, Kangaroo Kids. Can you explain to our listeners a little bit about your unique services?
There's a lot of unique services that Seasons offers for families. Namaste Care, I really enjoy that. When I first came on board to Seasons and I heard of Namaste Care, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Namaste Care is a service that we try to individualize for patients that are on Alzheimer's related patients that just need a little more attention. Teach families, different ways to interact with their family member that has dementia. Create any calm, relaxing environment, provisions, care, and help soothe and evoke feelings for comfort for that family member that's having irritation, having dementia. And it's something that's categorized specifically for them, and I think it's just a wonderful service that's offered. Another thing that we do have is music therapy. Music therapy is a wonderful thing for families, especially as I mentioned, Alzheimer's, dementia, that could benefit from having one of our music therapists come around, play some of their favorite songs to reminisce and give them some comfort, some quality of relaxation and comfort during that need of playing some of their songs. I'll be honest with you, that's what I would love. I'm a music fan, and if I could have people constantly playing music for me, I think that would be amazing. And then you mentioned it is.
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
so
great.
awesome. Therapy. I've seen it firsthand. To see someone with Alzheimer's and have a music therapist come play for them, it's almost like they come out of a deep sleep and they come alive. It's truly amazing. Like, I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it. It really is amazing.
Now, let's take a short break. We're going to go to a commercial, and we'll be right back. We'll talk more about the music therapy and the Kangaroo Kids. Stay tuned.
All right.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Trilogy was established in 2016 by industry experts with over 30 years in home health care operations spanning 30-plus counties throughout the state of Florida. With offices in Jacksonville, Port St. Lucie, West Palm Beach, we strive to provide the most optimal care to our patients in a fun, forward-thinking environment. Our focus is on personal relationships, whether with an employee, a patient, or an outside community. Because we know that when people enjoy what they do, it becomes why they do it. Call Trilogy today at 954-689-6660 and ask for more information. In addition to offering the standard mix of services, SN, PT, OT, speech, MSW, and HHA, we also take great pride in being on the cutting edge and offering care and education to our licensed clinicians in other areas most agencies likely don't offer. Emotional and behavioral health with our psych nursing, biofeedback for bladder incontinence and pelvic pain, chemotherapy, IV hydration, antibiotic and respiratory therapy. Call today at 954-689-6660. Trilogy Home Care. You have been listening to the Trilogy Home Health Show, and if you wish to be a guest on our show, please call us at 561-670-9213 and let us share your knowledge and information with our listeners. Trilogy Home Health Care Show enjoys serving the community and bringing doctors and facilities of interest to help educate and inform the community. Please call us at 561-670-9213 and let us put you on the airwaves with the Trilogy Home Health Show.
Welcome back. I'm Yolanda, host of the show. You're listening to your Hometown Health Show, sponsored by Trilogy Home Healthcare. Our special guest is Eddie from Seasons, and we have Jen Smith from Trilogy as well. We were just talking about the unique services at Seasons. We talked about Namaste Care and how important music therapy is, and how that brings people back, that experience Alzheimer's and dementia. we're about to get into Kangaroo Kids. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
See, Kangaroo Kids, coming back from our break, Kangaroo Kids is a specialty that we have for to help children and family members during a course of when a child needs hospice care. And that's a difficult subject to bring up, but we specialize in having assisting with children with those specific needs that need our services, and also to assist the family. I mean, it all kind of transitions towards Yolanda when we get into even some of the services that we offer, being having a social worker involved, having pastoral care for chaplain, spiritual care at those moments. So it's a complete package you get under the hospice benefit that people just don't realize that they have, and it's tons of support that is needed at that time. And it's a blessing that we could offer that, especially those moments for children. Kangaroo Kids is something that we specialize in, that even some hospice companies like to steer away from it because it's a difficult topic.
No.
But we do focus on it to assist. So that's a blessing that we could do that. We could cater to that.
Definitely takes a special person to care for children at the end of life. I can tell you that.
Definitely. I'm very, unfortunately, aware of that as well. So all these services you cover sound too good to be true. Can you tell our listeners who pays for all of these wonderful services?
It is covered under the Medicare, Medicaid at 100%. Patients don't, they don't get a bill for this especially at the time of need that's needed for these services. And just to paint a simple picture of who qualifies for these services, it's a patient that has declined in the past 6 months. Loss of weight, of a diagnosis that we have to maybe steer into a comfort and measured aspect of it. And we manage them. Hospice, even though it's a scary word, there's people that are on these services for a very long time. Why? Because they're getting managed and taken care of. And that's really important, and that's something that I really like to emphasize on, because it's something that people just don't understand. They think of the word hospice. They think once they sign that dotted line to get our services, that's it. No, it's not it. It's transition, it's comfort, and we focus on longevity and comfortability. And sometimes, people need that, especially, and they can focus on their families.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about making someone comfortable and, that quality of life.
Yes.
During that phase.
Dignity is a big word at that moment. I think if we could provide some dignity and they could focus on their quality at that moment especially with their families, and we can help with that. We could assist with that.
Sometimes it's hard to. Sorry. Sometimes it's hard as a family member to see what your loved one is going through, because you're experiencing it as the family member, as the daughter or the son or the spouse, and you're not experiencing that pain yourself. And sometimes the patient themselves will say, oh, I have to stay around for so-and-so, or they need me for this. And in reality, it's, like my father, for example, he didn't want any of his children to see him suffer. So he moved out of state, far away from all of us, and went through the whole dying process alone, which made it more difficult for us to manage everything for him. Families, for me, it was, working in healthcare, I understood what he was going through from the clinical side, because this is what I did for a living. My brothers were kind of numb and dumb to the whole thing. Like, no, he doesn't need that. He doesn't need this. He's fine. I'm like, no, he's not. So there's just constant, confusion within families, and people don't understand what's going on. And, no one can agree all the time. So there's just such a family dynamic when it comes to end of life and everything. There's so many things you have to gather and get together, and it's so important. And I think Eddie's going to touch on some of the other services in a minute that really help families kind of tie all those pieces together and really try to come together, because at the end, that's all you have is these few moments. And sometimes it can be a year, sometimes it can be 6 months, sometimes it can be 6 minutes. That's all you have with your loved one at the end. So, it's really important to take as much time as you can and live each day. So sorry, I went on my little rant.
I love your passion, Jennifer.
Yeah. It's in healthcare.
That's why you're
Go
in
ahead.
healthcare.
Sorry, Yolanda.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's why you're in healthcare. That's your calling. So, Eddie, we are facing a very difficult time that can lead to fear, worry, sleeplessness, loneliness, and isolation. I understand Seasons Hospice offers social workers and pastoral care to their patients and families. Can you tell our listeners a little about how these positions and how they play a role in your patients' and families' care?
Of course. When a patient's under our care, it's a complete team. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. Having a complete team is not just having a nurse coming around, knocking on the door, checking up on you. You have the ability to reach out. Plus, we will be there to ask questions and make sure you're okay. Is that we have, pastoral care chaplains to help with any spiritualities, any beliefs that they have. We do have chaplains that are very knowledgeable to assist with patients that need our services and get in touch with their religion or spirituality at that moment, plus social workers in charge per patient to assist with any type of benefit that they maybe could apply for, help with anything in the household. Sometimes, going through that process, we want to make sure that the family member has the ability to focus on their loved one and not have to worry about filling out any type of forms or what helps do I need with any type of additional things I need to apply for. Let our social worker help that. Ask them questions. That's what we're there for. It's a complete team. That way they could just focus on the quality of care for their family. I was promised not to say certain words, but at the same time, you get so many services at that particular time, equipment that is needed, patient care with different types of individuals for services. It's really a wonderful thing at that moment that all you got to focus on is your family member, really.
That's what you want. That's what you want to do. That's how it goes. And I know that you talked about, Jennifer, about how you work together. Eddie, did you want to delve a little bit further into a scenario about how you work with Trilogy?
Well, the fortunate part, not just with Jennifer, her complete staff, they're quality, experienced individuals that know what's needed for home health to transition those patients onto their services. And the great thing about them is they're looking out for the best interests of their patients and their families. And when they feel, I'm assuming especially when they feel appropriate that they fall under a potential candidate for hospice care, that they can receive other care services. I know we work really hand in hand together to transition that patient on from home health to hospice and provide them palliative care, which is really comfort care in the end of the day. And again, it's prolonged. It's not what people think that it's the end game. I don't even like saying the word end because it's not the end. It's transition. Let's give them more care that they that's needed for them. If they qualify for it, why not? I think it's important.
And vice versa. If the family's not ready or not accepting yet, then if they qualify for home health at that time, then we would accept them on and then transition them, try to convince them that this is really the road or the path that you need to choose, and then refer them right back to Seasons. So it's like that little circle that we're really kind of, no, see, you're not doing well. You're not making those gains that you think you're going to make, and this is really where you need to go.
You're educating the family, and that's just the biggest thing, is just educating the family of all the benefits that they could get, and transition. Sometimes it does happen very often. People get better under hospice and they could transition back onto home health. It does happen very often.
That too. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're wrapping up. Eddie Flores, thanks again from Seasons Hospice. If you could tell everyone how we can reach you.
There are multiple ways of reaching me. First off, our website is seasons.org if you want to educate yourself a little bit more on the hospice benefit. You can reach me at 754-226-3140 just to have any conversation that you want to have to help each other have a better understanding. And then obviously you can reach us at our 1-855-812-1136. And I really appreciate you guys having me on your show.
Thanks.
It was a pleasure.
Have a great
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
You too.
Trilogy Home Healthcare invites you to call our offices before making a decision about your home health and rehabilitative care. Different from other agencies, Trilogy offers specialized service that other agencies don't, providing exceptional care. That's who we are and what we do. Call us at 866-599-4959 or go to trilogyhomehealthcare.com.